Hi, this is Ira Gorlick, and in this lecture I'm going to provide my position on net neutrality. So I'm providing my position on net neutrality. And the reason I'm providing my position on net neutrality is, as you'll see in some of the other lectures, I talk a lot about bias and confirmation bias and selective perception. I think it's important from a transparency standpoint that you know what my position is. Also, I'm putting this together now, and maybe by the time I finish the class, I might change my position. So this is my best guess as it stands now, and it will be interesting to see whether I can support it or whether I change it or how it moves as we take this class. So this is a sentence that really describes my position about telecommunications law in general and in terms of net neutrality in specific. Successful societies find an effective balance between the regulatory effects of government and the market forces of commerce. So what I'm saying is that I think there is both a role for government and a role for commerce. The trick, of course, is finding the balance in an ever-changing world. And from a physics standpoint, if I look at the sun and the physics of how the sun works, you have two forces. You have gravity causing an inward force, and you have heat and atomic reactions causing an outward force. And the way nuclear reactions in the sun work is that it creates a balance between the two forces. I see the same thing with telecommunications law. I see the same thing with all government action within a community. I think there has to be a balance between the regulatory effects of government and the market forces of commerce. And here's where I'm going to differ with perhaps both sides of the opposite ends of the spectrum. I don't think that no government is a good thing, and I don't think that commerce, all commerce, is a good thing. I don't think too much government is a good thing. I don't think too little commerce is a good thing. There has to be a balance. And my opinion is that balance is going to be unique for every situation, and that balance might change as things in the environment change. Specifically in terms of net neutrality, I see net neutrality as a battle between those that want to stop ISPs from creating these fast lanes, as I talked about in my previous lectures, because they don't trust the ISPs to do what's best for consumers, and those that want to let the ISPs continue to provide these fast lanes because they trust the ISPs to do the best for consumers. I see that as the battle. I don't side on either one of these. I don't trust ISPs to do the best things, but I don't trust government to know what's best either. So I see net neutrality as a balance between the needs of the consumer to be able to access the content they want without the ISPs interfering in that access, and the needs of the ISP to optimize the bits flowing through the network and to make money at the same time. So now let me give you my exact position on net neutrality. I am a huge supporter of transparency. If we did nothing else, I would be happy with transparency. The more I know about what the ISP is doing, the better I am at making my decisions. And I'm actually going to talk more about this when I talk about F.A. Hayek and government and economics in the class. So you might want to stay tuned or look to that lecture for what I'm talking about here. But essentially I'm saying of the four proposals, remember, of net neutrality, we have no blocking, no throttling, transparency, and pay prioritization. The first, and to me, if we only got transparency, I would be a good thing. Now, I am in favor of no blocking of legal content, but I don't think that's controversial. I think most providers and everybody pretty much agrees that if it's legal content, we can't block you. I am in favor of no throttling too, though that's a little bit more hazy as what does throttling mean, and it goes to pay prioritization and the QoS we've talked about and traffic shaping. But in general, I'm in favor of no throttling. It'd be important to see the devil in the details here in terms of what the regulation is. But if a network provider does throttle, this goes back to transparency. I just want to know about it. So I'm not necessarily think we need a law that says they can't throttle as much as I want to know if they are throttling. I want to know that they're throttling. I don't want to just have to imagine, well, why is this going slow? Is it my computer or something else? And I do not want the government to stop paid prioritization. First of all, I don't know if technically they can. How would they even do that in terms of stopping that? And because it is what's happened today from the beginning of time. If you think about back in the days when I was started in the phone company, companies like Sears might order a lot of trunks so that their customer service got calls faster than perhaps a smaller company. So, the phone company has always had paid prioritization. In the days of circuit switched, you would just order more trunks and faster trunk lines and those kinds of things. So I am not in favor of the government coming in and saying to stop paid prioritization. And frankly, I think there could be some real benefits to me as a consumer. If my internet service provider, Comcast, cuts a deal with YouTube, where now I get YouTube very fast, I may want that. I may even be willing to pay extra for that. I have 100 megabit bandwidth to my computer here, and I pay extra for that. So, I like the idea of having a first class and second class and third class when I fly on an airplane, when I go on a cruise. The idea that I should be able to pay for prioritization is a fine thing. So, again, I'm all for transparency. I'm all for no blocking, throttling, not so much, but paid prioritization. I do not want the government instituting Title II in order to get paid prioritization. I just want transparency from my network provider that they have paid prioritization. What I don't want is my provider to have paid prioritization and I don't know about it. I don't think they would do that, but that would be a bad thing. So thank you, and I hope you like this class. It's going to be fun, and there's a lot of things that we're going to do. In fact, I just, in giving this lecture, I talked about the devil in the details. I may go back and redo some other stuff because clearly, from a regulatory standpoint, it's one thing to say you want something. The other thing is to how it will be implemented. So I hope you enjoy the class.